July 2024 marks the one-year anniversary of Dassault Systèmes' introduction of SOLIDWORKS Cloud Services, which are now included with the purchase of any new SOLIDWORKS CAD license. But while the majority of users now have access to these services, many haven't made it much further than poking around one of the default dashboards or checking out some of the communities. And even fewer still are using these services to their full potential. Admittedly, there's a lot to digest when first diving into cloud services and the 3D Experience platform, but there's also a lot to gain. Whether you're just trying to improve your collaboration and review processes with customers or coworkers, or you want to establish real revision control practices instead of hacking and slashing with Windows Explorer, or even if you need to implement full-scale product lifecycle management systems, there's something available to improve workflows for pretty much anyone currently using SOLIDWORKS CAD. So if you want to see a real demonstration of what you can do with cloud services, stick around. We're covering two major use cases for beginners in this episode of Ask SolidProfessor.
Here, just
Not like you're holding on and try turning it off and back on again. Here, try this. Nice,
Oh,
there we go. That wasn't too bad. First and foremost, you should know that this is part 3 in our series introducing cloud services, with part 1 explaining how to upload files to cloud storage and use revision control entirely from within SOLIDWORKS, and part 2 introducing the most important browser-based applications and demonstrating how to create a dashboard with them. These are really important first steps for new users, and if you haven't already seen them, I highly recommend watching them first so you're not lost here, as they really set the stage for what we're going to be covering. And finally, last disclaimer, I promise, I just want to note that the capabilities we'll be showing in this video are geared toward new users of cloud services and are intentionally pretty basic to help get you started. What you'll see here is only a fraction of what's possible with these tools and only utilizes the cloud services that come by default with SOLIDWORKS without any add-ons. This means no cloud-based CAD tools or anything like that, but if you find yourself wanting more information after this, you can always check out our courses on cloud-based CAD like 3D Creator or 3D Sculptor, or even data management, and you can always get in touch with your SOLIDWORKS reseller for more information. Okay. Our scenario for today involves 3 different people: Jacob, me, who is a SOLIDWORKS designer, my manager, Amos, who's managing the project and a team of designers, and Gary, one of the contractors we're working with to install our designs on site. Starting with Amos, the manager, let's see how cloud services can help all 3 of us manage this project more effectively. From the manager's perspective, we find ourselves on the welcome page of the 3D Experience platform, which has plenty of powerful tools built into it, but they're not organized in the most effective way. For a cleaner view, the hamburger icon can be used to activate a custom dashboard where we can explore and preview existing files, control lifecycle status, and create and manage tasks. Moving to the Tasks tab, managers can quickly review what's been completed by team members, which tasks are currently active, and which are yet to be started. If preferred, advanced status options can be used as well, and clicking a task provides more detailed information, including an optional description, the start and end dates, assignees, attachments, and even a comment history for tracking communications, which we'll be using pretty frequently. Here we see a task assigned to us, as the manager, indicating that the width of our radiator fan assembly isn't suitable for installation. This is according to Gary, the on-site contractor, and it's been designated as urgent, so we need to handle it as soon as possible. To get a better idea of what's going on with this design, I can review the CAD file that's been attached to the task by opening it with 3D Play. If you're familiar with 3D Play, then you already know we can use it to take measurements and add comments like I'm doing here in order to indicate the required changes more clearly. But what you may not know is that I can attach this markup to a comment and tag others within my organization to notify them that this needs to be addressed. Here I've tagged Jacob, the designer, requesting he revise the model accordingly, and then validate the changes with the contractor before submitting it for approval. For tracking purposes, I'll move my task as the manager to the in work column while I wait for the design to be revised, and I'll create a new task for Jacob to make the revision. I'll include some additional detail in the description, set the status to urgent, and then the critical part. Jumping back to the Explore tab, I can drag and drop the exact CAD file to be revised onto the Tasks tab and then into the Attachments field of the new task, ensuring that Jacob has immediate access to the exact files he needs when he opens the task. Finally, I'll add him as an assignee, save the task, and wait for him to get to work. Now, there's a lot of ways to communicate on the platform, including instant messaging and even video calling with screen share, but in many cases, notifications are the most convenient. From the perspective of Jacob the designer now, notice the notification icon at the top of the screen. Clicking on it, we can see we've been mentioned in a comment and assigned a new task. I can quickly review the comment and then refresh my task view to see the newly assigned work. The description seems clear enough, but to do my due diligence, I'll open the attached file in 3D Play just like our manager did, only this time rather than taking a measurement myself, I'm going to check the comment history. Clicking on the screenshot in the comment left by Amos automatically adjusts the orientation of the model and reveals the saved markup, making it extremely obvious what needs to be changed. Now, I just need to get it done. I'll return to the attachment in my task, this time choosing to open it directly within SolidWorks. Remember, these files are all stored on the cloud, so I can easily make design changes here in SolidWorks and then push them back to the platform. I'll start by selecting the files that need to be changed and choosing to create a new revision from the toolbar. I'll enter a comment explaining the revision and then click Revise. You'll now notice a few things have changed in the task pane. Each of my revised files has automatically been locked to prevent others from making changes while I'm working. Additionally, the revision has been advanced from B1 to C1 and the maturity state is now in work rather than released. This means I'm ready to start making some changes. A simple dimension update and a rebuild should do the trick, but I'll take a quick measurement too, just to be sure, and it looks like we're good to go. Now I'll right-click the top-level assembly and use Save with Options to open the Save dialog, and I have a few things to consider. I'd like to automatically unlock these files so others can work with them after they've been saved, so I'll use the checkbox near the bottom left. To find this specific revision more quickly, I'd also like to apply a bookmark, which I already have ready to go. At this point, we just need to get some feedback before we can submit this revision for approval. But remember, our contractor Gary isn't part of our organization. Up to this point, we've only been showing the collaboration process between a manager and a designer on the same platform. The process you've seen so far is known as store and revise. And while it's certainly very powerful for managing data, it's restricted to members of your tenant. So how can we get Gary involved? This is where share and markup comes in. Share and markup is a process that allows you as a cloud services user to send files to people outside of your organization even if they don't have cloud services. In this example, our contractor Gary doesn't even have eDrawings, let alone SolidWorks and cloud services. So let's see how share and markup can bridge this gap between us. From the command manager, I'll enable the tab for Lifecycle and Collaboration and click the Share button. From here, I can change the file name if needed, select a file type, and change the directory, but I'm going to leave these options set to default. This is also a good point to mention that when using share and markup, you're actually creating a copy of the active CAD files and hosting them separately from your collaborative space, which means you don't have to worry about external users modifying your source files or gaining access to potentially sensitive data. I'll click Upload and then set my preferences on the following dialog. Here you can allow recipients to make comments, which we definitely want to do in this case, and you can restrict access to certain individuals by specifying their email addresses or disable this option and make the content visible to anyone with the link. I'll add Gary's email address, ask him to validate the latest revision with a custom message, and then click Share. Now let's go take a look at what Gary, our contractor, is going to see on his end. I've got Gary's email inbox open, waiting for a new message to appear, and I should mention that to save some time in this video, I've already created a 3D Experience account for him. When new users receive a shared link for the first time, they'll need to create a free account in order to log in. We see the email appear with the comment made by Jacob along with a link to the file. Clicking the link immediately takes us into 3D Play where, just like before with our designer and manager on the platform, we have all the tools required to take measurements, add text, and of course make comments. Gary confirms that everything looks good to go with a quick comment despite having never used SolidWorks in his life, and just like that, the design is ready to be submitted for approval. Back to Jacob's perspective, as the designer, we see another notification, this time conveniently inside of SolidWorks. A few clicks reveal Gary's comment validating the changes so we can move on to submitting the revision for approval. Selecting the revised components, I'll use the maturity controls to move them into the frozen state, preventing others from locking or modifying them until they've been approved or rejected. To communicate these changes, we can access our tasks directly from the SolidWorks task pane using the compass icon and then the Collaborative Tasks app, which provides the same information as the browser-based version. I'll review the revision task and then add a new comment, tagging Amos to let him know the design is ready for his approval, and we can get back to our other tasks at hand. Finally, our manager Amos is presented with one last notification from Jacob indicating the design has been revised. A quick query in the search bar reveals the new C1 revision, and as a final check, we'll open it up in 3D Play once again and verify the new measurement. Once completed, we can return to the Explore tab and add the latest revision to the existing radiator fan bookmark to keep things organized. Last but not least, as the project manager, we're responsible for approving and releasing the new revisions, which is done to the Collaborative Lifecycle app. I'll drag all the frozen files from the collaborative space into the Lifecycle app, and then use the maturity command to set all 12 files to the release state. I'll then update any outstanding tasks, add one last comment indicating that the files have been approved and released, and move on to the next item on my list of things to get done today. Now, hopefully this example has given you a better understanding of how cloud services can be used both inside and also outside of your organization to streamline data management and revision processes, regardless of whether you're doing the designing or the managing or a little bit of both. Even if you're already using SOLIDWORKS PDM, external sharing with share and markup can be really useful, and the 3D Experience communities available through the platform are a great place to connect with other experts. But as I mentioned earlier, these two strategies, share and markup and store and revise as they're known, are really just the very basics of what can be done with cloud services. And admittedly, they're not particularly structured as they rely heavily on comments and tasks. This works just fine for many companies, but if you're looking for something that is more structured, apps like change execution, issue management, and route management can be implemented for much more robust governance of engineering data, even beyond what SOLIDWORKS PDM can do. If this is interesting to you, we'd highly recommend reaching out to your SOLIDWORKS reseller if you have one, as they're very skilled and experienced in these types of situations, and they can recommend and also implement a solution that's customized to suit your needs. If you're a student or a hobbyist and you don't have a reseller, you can always check out the communities on the 3D Experience platform mentioned earlier to ask questions and learn more about the available applications. If you found this video valuable, do us a huge favor and give it a like so the algorithm knows that it's helpful, and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of these types of videos. Or leave us a comment to let us know what you'd like to see next. We have hundreds of other helpful tips and tricks on this channel for you to check out, but if you're looking for full-length comprehensive courses on 3D Experience or SOLIDWORKS or anything else related to design, manufacturing, and engineering, be sure to visit SolidProfessor.com. Thanks for asking SolidProfessor, and see you next time.